You are now listening to Thinking Out Loud with your hosts, J Lip and J.Rhodes.
Thinking out loud, man. It's your boy J Lip. You know who I am, and you know what this is. I got my brother J.Rhodes representing what?
Detroit, Chicago all day.
You said representing Cotton. Nigga still got that slave mentality. What's up, B Lou? B Lou, what you represent? What you represent, B Lou?
What up, man? I'm representing Detroit and ATL.
Ashley, what you representing?
DC all day.
All day. And then, of course, my brethren, Levi. Levi, where you at and what you representing?
Detroit, I represent HP.
So we got J.Rhodes in the Shy. We got B. Lou from ATL. We got Ashley in DC. And, of course, we got my bro Levi representing HP by way of Detroit, Troy area. But we getting into this topic right here, right now. What do you think that we have as far as the strength that we get from protests, marches, petitions, all of the stuff that's going on right now? It seems like it could be a distraction from getting us to the next level as far as strengthening the community. However, in the media, it is portrayed as being public enemy number one. You look at Colin Kaepernick, he took a knee, he's out of there. You look at all these people that are protesting the statues, they getting beat, they getting shot at, they out of there. What do you think about the value of protesting and marching in 2017 to progress the culture?
I think protesting is important, even still today. I think where the dichotomy is that we look at marching and we say protest, we say it doesn't do anything, it doesn't change anything, and that's right. Al Sharpton recently was on the Breakfast Club and he said marching and protesting never changed anything, but what it did, it forced the issue on the table, and I think that's true, and I think that's still why it's relevant today.
Protesting, marching has a place in the fight.
Absolutely, because the thing is, being minorities, we don't control a lot of the mass media. We're rarely in the media outside of entertainment. So you have to put the issue in their face. Like you have to force Fox or CNN or NBC to cover an issue. You have to force them. They're like, oh, wow, there's a lot of women outside protesting against Donald Trump. There's a lot of black people marching for, an just shooting. You have to put the issue in front of their faces. Granted, it doesn't always get the reaction or the attention that we want, but at the same time, that's the only way we can get our voices heard.
I would disagree with Al Sharpton for him to say that it didn't change anything. Protesting as a whole changed mindset, not only of those marching, but the people who are watching. So for him to say that it didn't change anything, what did he change?
Well, you know what? Before we go down that rabbit hole, I want to take a step back and just kind of address the whole point of, does marching, protesting, kneeling, basically standing in solidarity as a community, as a culture, does that do anything to further our engagement as far as strengthening our community and our presence in America?
I don't think it doesn't have the effect that it used to have. I think if it's like a big one central issue, then that can have a long-lasting, significant impact. But right now, I feel like we're so divisive against which issues we find important that we're not unified. So the impact is not the same as what it was.
That's a good point.
That's a great point. Yeah, that is a great point.
Go ahead, Ashley.
The thing is, the reason it was so impactful back then was because they had a figurehead that was, speaking on the behalf of whatever that movement was at the time, to actually sit in the offices with these people and actually, sit something on the table. Right now, there's nobody that's actually doing that. So it's like we're putting on a show, but there's nothing happening behind the scenes. So it's just like all of this is kind of done in vain because nothing is really, there's no real push for something in general. Like back when Martin Luther King was doing it, they were changing legislation. You know what I'm saying? Laws were being changed, and he was in those offices speaking with these people. There's nobody doing that today.
Well, I just want to clarify the statement I made about Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton, he when he said was marching alone doesn't do anything, Ashley. So to be Lou's point, marching put the issue on the table so legislation could be changed. That's what he meant. So marching alone doesn't do anything, but yes, marching is important.
Well, I will say Black Lives Matter has a whole agenda, as well as some of the women, even black feminists and things like that. They have whole agendas and proposed legislation to kind of change what America is. So it's out there, and I don't know how far we've gotten with it, but it's certainly been proposed.
Yeah, but I
But
guess
even still with Black Lives Matter, they're saying like it's different groups. Like there's still different
I agree.
figureheads, so it's not
Yep.
just one person. And all of these different people have different opinions and views. Like I saw one thing, this girl was saying that white people should give their houses to minorities, which I'm not even, of course I'm black, so I'm on Black Lives Matter side, so to speak, but like that just sounds ridiculous to me. Like, how are you going to force somebody to give their house to a minority just because they're a minority?
Well,
It's
let's take a step back. You said, so to speak. Like, what do you mean by that? Expound on that, B-Lou.
well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, because I'm black, of course, I'm going to side with my people.
And your life matters. Your black.
Yeah, and my life matters.
Okay,
So,
but where does it come to a stop, though? When you say so to speak, it means with a caveat. So explain.
well, because I don't agree with that little notion of white people should have to give their houses to minorities. That sounds ludicrous to me.
So you're still going to support, even though your people are wrong, you're still going to support their, I guess, vision?
You said your people.
I don't understand the question.
She made it quite clear. She said, even though you don't agree with what they're representing, you're still going to support them as your people? Yes or no?
That stance, as far as white people should give their houses to minorities, no, I don't support that.
No,
I
Black
disagree
Lives
with that.
Matter.
Yeah, I stand with Black Lives Matter.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ashley. Is that what you were asking?
No, that's exactly what I meant.
So
I stand with Black Lives Matter. I'm not saying I'm against Black Lives Matter.
I guess
that's what I said.
No. What I'm saying is, so you're with Black Lives Matter, but you don't agree with what they're saying about the whole give minorities their homes for white. So that's so extreme. Why do you still support Black Lives Matter?
Because I still support what it represents as a whole. That's one issue.
Yeah, you're never going to agree 100% with anyone or anything.
But at what point are we going to see that's where it gets choppy, because yes, we want to support Black people.
Absolutely.
But if Black people are out there conveying messages of killing or things like that, just reverse it. The white supremacists, the white people are saying the same thing. Yeah, they're wrong for saying they hate niggers and they're going to hang them, but they're white, so I'm going to support them. That's wrong. And we got to move away from that.
That's a very simplistic analogy.
That is very general. You put everybody in one big category. The world is way more diverse than that.
But it's the way you interpret it, though. So to speak on alignment with Ashley, I got to say that I agree that you're basically saying, I mean, it's not any different than someone, and I'm not trying to typecast people who believe in a different religion than I do, but if someone was to say that they are a follower of Islam, they're a Muslim person, there are people who say or claim that they're followers of Islam and they believe in a doctrine that is very extreme and very detrimental to the well-being of a lot of people. So if someone was to say that I believe in this doctrine and I believe in this culture of Islam and it tells me that I should destroy non-believers, however, there are other upstanding, non-violent Muslims, they have to continue to defend themselves, just like Black Lives Matter, against the people who are out here saying pigs, fry them on the bacon, or whatever they were saying. Like, you know what I'm talking about. There's a discrepancy between a movement when you have divisiveness inside of it. So to Ashley's point, you're saying that you're supporting Black Lives Matter to a certain extent, but you're not fully embracing the movement, because we have to take back control of what the movement represents, in my opinion. We can't let people say, I represent Black Lives Matter, so I'm going to go out and start killing white people, and I represent Black Lives Matter. Like, that's not...
Exactly. And that's the danger in that.
Exactly. I'm going to let you take it, Ashley. Go ahead.
I just find it dangerous when people support things that are morally wrong. So if I say the white supremacists and what they stand for, and just because I'm white, I'm going to back them, we can't move as a society like that, whether it's black or white. So
I just want to say, like, there's never going to be any doctrine or any entity that you're going to agree with 100%. For case in point, white supremacists. A lot of what white supremacists believe are actually beneficial to white people outside of the hate crimes. They believe in white nationalism. They believe in Christianity in a old twisted way. Like, there's a lot of things that people can gravitate towards. But when you start getting to like the more hate divisive things like hang all niggers and da-da-da-da, then you get all, I don't know about that. But it does say that the the pure white Christian, the white man is the follower. Same thing with Christianity or any religion. There's going to be things that you gravitate towards, and there's going to be things in the Bible or any kind of religious text that you say, well, I don't know about that. So going back to the Black Lives Matter movement or any type of movement or leader, there's going to be things that you be like, I kind of disagree with you on that point, but the overall message, the overall mission of the entity can still be something that you support.
I would disagree, and I would disagree because I feel like you need to be all in or not.
You think it is fair? You think it's morally right that just because a person is a minority, they deserve this other person's house who's not a minority strictly off the race that they are?
No. I agree with you on that. But what I'm saying is we have to really look at this from an angle of support. So if, regardless of whatever black people do, I'm going to support them, I don't think that's the right mindset we should have.
Yeah, I support them regardless. That's what I was saying. But that little point right there, as far as what that chick said, no, I didn't agree with that. But that's just my opinion.
So how do we make the distinction between what we believe in and what we don't if we're all grouped into one accordion of Black Lives Matter?
Because there's no one clear-cut leader.
And it doesn't have to be.
Oh,
I disagree. I think that there does need to be. At least two. You had Malcolm X and then you had Martin Luther King. You at least need some kind of somebody who kind of is a spokesperson. Even as far as the way the country is set up. That's why we have a POTUS. It's because you have to have somebody that's going to be speaking on your behalf as far as the collective.
Right, but you don't always agree with what the POTUS says. You don't. Even when Obama was the president, you didn't always agree with what he proposed or what he suggested. You agree with you support his leadership overall, but you might not agree with every legislative, every idea.
No, not every idea, but still the general movement itself. If he's speaking for the movement, then at least that's a way to have a voice. But when there's no one person that has the voice, and now you have these different people that are going on TV and they spitting their views, but nobody is appointing themselves as the leader to say I am a leader of Black Lives Matter. Then
why that leader didn't come out because
dangerous,
because she was a lesbian and she was black. And
I did not know that. I did not know
yeah,
that.
it was two lesbians that led Black Lives Matter, and it's
Wait,
sad.
I heard Rhodes do a little side. Rhodes, go ahead.
I'm listening to the story.
No, you laughing? What you think when she said that you had an opinion? It's just thinking out loud, baby. Come on.
I think that was a smart PR move. I mean, because two lesbians are not going to garner the admiration of a lot of people.
But they did.
Right, but I'm saying, okay, go ahead.
But that's not really well-known evidence, because I didn't know that.
That's what I'm saying. That's not well-known evidence. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but that's my point. That's exactly my point. So they did that. They are lesbians, and they still did that without you guys knowing or not. So it proves that it can be done. But as soon as they would have came out and said they were lesbians, nobody would have supported it. So
that's what I'm saying. It was smart of them to withhold that information, at least to a certain point.
That's a dangerous. Yeah. That's a dangerous territory, because now that's on the borderline of saying they should have stayed in the closet and kept themselves silent. That's very dangerous rhetoric, Rhodes.
I mean, but that's
what they did.
Go ahead, Levi. Go ahead, Levi.
I'm just supporting. That's what they did.
They did it, but they shouldn't have had to do it.
Well, yeah, it's easy to say that. It's a lot of things that should be the way they are, but
that's not the argument. The argument is they did what was best for the movement, and y'all make personal sacrifices. I mean, there's a lot of people who have been great men or great leaders, great women, but we all have our personal flaws. It's like you go back to this single leader, two leader thing. Martin Luther King probably would not be as admired today as he was back in the day. Granted, because I believe in a lot of things he proposed, but the fact that we know now in the 21st century that he had mistresses and other things, other vices, if that stuff were to come out today, I ain't listening to that dude named Martin Luther King. He was in the strip club and he got this girl allegedly pregnant, and then those are things that divide us, because we don't look at them as intangible figures and legends and mythos. Now we look at them as real people. They're no better than me.
I don't know, man. Trump said grab him by the pussy, and he's still the president.
Well, he had a lot of point. He had a lot of money behind him, for one, and he's got a demographic that totally is supporting bigotry.
No, but to Lou's point though, he made a statement that should have been a complete turnoff to any woman of respect, in my opinion. If
And he
a
still
man
had a lot of women supporting him.
and exactly, and that's my point. Like there was a lot of people who, and I can't say people, but I would say there was a lot of women who still supported him even after knowing he said that, chopping it up to the fact that what was we saying? Oh, it's just locker room talk. This is just what guys do. Blah blah blah. Like you had women basically justifying misogyny because
And you
they
know
wanted
why?
him. Why?
You know why?
Why?
Because women hate women. And I
Ooh,
said that on the last
You
podcast.
did, Ashley. You did.
Because the hate that Hillary received was so vile and unnecessary from women, white women, and it was nasty. It was really unfair. And they just didn't want to see her win.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think you, as a white man, you can get away with the most in society.
In
Like
America.
Obama, for him to be a black man to be a president, he had to have a squeaky clean record. All throughout his presidency, his office was ran squeaky clean. There was no leaks of information, no public official betraying him, no people speaking out on his camp against him, none of that. Already with 8 months into the Trump presidency, all of those things are different. So you can get away with more if you're a white man. If
Yeah,
you're a woman,
that's true. That's definitely true.
yeah, and I'm not saying that these things are right. I'm just saying this is what it is. So if you're a woman, you're not going to be, unless you have a squeaky clean record, kind of the same thing, like unless you have basically the Obama resume, which Hillary doesn't, then you're going to come under more scrutiny. You're going to be based on your quote unquote moral character, even if somebody else doesn't have as good of a moral character as you, the same thing. And they'll take what you're proposing and then say, how can you propose that when you don't have your moral house together?
But it's unfair to try to like simplify why Hillary lost, because I think it's a combination of all those factors that both of you guys proposed. Because I mean, Hillary had a really hard time resonating with her demographic, with African Americans.
how?
She didn't
Well,
campaign right.
Well, like I said, you could argue she didn't campaign right. She spent a lot of time apologizing to the black community for that legislation that was passed when her husband was in office for the mass incarceration of African Americans, minorities. She spent a lot of time going on like the Breakfast Club, pandering black people. Some people perceive like carrying hot sauce and da da da. It's like all these things came off as disingenuous when
But
she.
Trump, I come on. Trump was,
No,
he got on stage and he mocked a disabled man.
Oh,
He told people I'll grab him by the pussy. He said bad hombres. Like he didn't run a good campaign either.
Oh, absolutely
No.
not. I mean, I'm actually in favor of what you said, Ash. I'm saying like these are all things that Hillary misstepped on, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of like women hate, voter suppression. There was a lot of factors that led to Trump winning. When really, you could really say it was a lot of apathy. People just kind of went with Trump because they didn't think he would win. They thought it was entertaining, and he actually did win. I mean, he even said he didn't expect to win.
I don't think that people voted for him because they didn't think he'd win. And I think, kind of getting back to Ashley's point, like if we were to compare like a stat sheet, like Trump versus Hillary, Hillary didn't do as much as Trump did to basically defame and I would say disrespect cultures of the American society, and that's just a fact. Like what Ashley said, and I appreciate you bringing that fact up. That not only he made fun of or he mocked and one of the reporters or the correspondents who was handicapped. The whole grab by the pussy thing, that whole thing is just bizarre to me. Like that, the fact that still didn't deter women voters from being like, okay, nah, you're not about to grab me by my pussy. Like I don't understand how that wasn't an issue, but whatever. Okay, excuse.
I mean,
that.
even men too, bro. Shit,
With
men
that
should
being
like.
said, and if I can interject real quick, with that being said, though, who we talking about what they did wrong? One thing Trump did right, he did campaign to the country, basically rural white American or white voters.
Yeah, he said
for the
if you're
most part,
poor and white, he
that's
said this is our America.
Now, when we talked about what Hillary, right? So he got a new vote, whereas I didn't see what Hillary did to garner any more attention than you could say. You can compare sins or compare wrongdoings or what I ain't gonna say sins, but compare wrongdoings or missteps that they both had. But what did Hillary do right that somebody else didn't do for her?
Levi, when you're comparing the worst of two evils, though, you are comparing their sins. In essence, you have to put them against each other because you don't want to vote for either one. Like if you look at the Bernie supporters, I don't really know anybody on the Republican side who Trump didn't just completely defeat that could have gone against. Bernie Sanders. But if you look at them head to head, you have to basically say, okay, I'm picking the lesser of two evils. That's the whole premise of people saying, I'm not voting because my vote don't count, and I'm gonna just vote for the lesser of two evils, and blah 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 blah. Like the same shit it's a comparison table. Who has the worst out for you? Was it Hillary with her little emails in the closet, her saying that she kowtows to black people, coming on the Breakfast Club, hot sauce in her purse, or do you choose the man who said, I'm grabbing these hoes by the not these hoes, I'm sorry.
He did not say that.
I'm grabbing women by the vagina, and I'm out here saying we're gonna build a wall and we got to get these rapists and these thieves and all these negative connotations to people who are not only illegal immigrants but legal immigrants. He made no distinction. He basically just said, if you're from Mexico, you don't belong here. My main thing is, how can we not acknowledge the fact that you are literally having to compare two people who maybe you don't want either one of them to lead the country, but who would be worse? Who would be worse?
I didn't say don't acknowledge that, and I didn't say I didn't use that as a basis for, who I cast my vote for. That played a factor, definitely. But just speaking and judging them objectively as politicians, he drew in a population that wasn't previously engaged, and she did nothing to draw in a different population that wasn't previously engaged or maintain the population that was already set towards the Democratic Party to vote
she
again.
did win the popular vote by millions.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
But she know the game ain't the popular vote. Bush didn't win the popular vote either when he won the first time against whoever, Kerry. So she knew the name of the game was the Electoral College, yet she decided not to visit Wisconsin at all.
You know, it's funny though, Levi, I'm going to tell you this. I feel like what you're saying would be very valid if it weren't for the fact that we have a certain sense of ourselves to blame for the fact that our voter turnout was just fucking garbage. We did not come out and vote. There were too many people that I know on this podcast. I ain't gonna name no names, but there are people who don't believe in voting. And when you have a demographic, I was talking about Rhodes, but if you don't have a demographic of people who are willing to come out and vote, that's who Hillary was counting on. So,
why are you counting on the vote? At the same time, I see, and I don't put that blame back on.
So basically, why are you counting on black people then?
Hear me out. Yes.
About black people.
Hear me out. Now, if you a politician, Obama, I know, came to Michigan State. Michigan State, just objectively speaking, is the largest public campus in Michigan. The most older people are going to vote. They already set in their ways on who they're going to vote for. So the largest group that you're going to have the influence on is going to be younger people. And the people that you have to get engaged and you have to actually earn their vote is going to be younger crowds, typically. So, because either an older person going to be set in their ways, they're either going to vote or they're not, or whatever. They're going to do what they're going to do for the most part. You still got to campaign, but for the most part, they set in their ways. Yet she didn't go to Michigan State at all throughout her campaign. She didn't go to Grand Rapids. She didn't go to the whole state of Wisconsin. How you miss a whole state? I can see if you missed a state that went Republican 30 years in a row. Wisconsin don't win Democrat 20 years in a row for the past 20 years. So how the hell did you not go there? You can't just assume, they just going to vote for me, so I'm just, fuck it. No, get your ass out and campaign. You're a politician.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of overestimation on her side, and I think there's a lot of underestimation on the Trump side. So
right.
My point is that women, because she was a woman, because it went back to the whole Black Lives Matter thing and how those ladies, regardless of their sexual preference, they started a movement and they were shunned. They would have been shunned, and you guys confirmed that today. The same as Hillary was shunned because she was a woman. So I'm just saying there's a trend here of minorities in terms of women, people who are gay or lesbian.
No, you're right. You're right. And I want to hear what Rose laughing about.
No.
Go ahead, Levi.
Levi, go ahead.
Oh, because I think that's you're perpetuating a narrative that minorities can't be front runners in terms of leadership position.
No, she's saying that women always are at a disadvantage.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that women are at a disadvantage.
I don't think Hillary lost because she's a woman, though. She won the popular vote, so that goes to prove that the world is ready for female president. It's just she wasn't the female to be president because she didn't campaign good enough. She just didn't do her job good enough.
And
I think she wasn't
have a
feminine
point.
enough.
Oh my God.
I
Okay.
don't think that she just didn't campaign. She took her butt up to Michigan
I
State.
would. If I had to take
Wisconsin.
a side, I would take Levi's side and say that the campaign could have been run better. I agree with that. There
All
could have been strategic moves that could have boosted her presence.
Yep.
But you guys cannot deny, none of you on this podcast, that women, the disabled, the gay and lesbian, blacks, minorities are just shunned, and it's not right. Collectively, not just black people.
I guess I would agree with you with some of that.
It's not I guess. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Well, with that being said, being just a woman, that's one minority check versus if you're a lesbian, you're black, and you're a woman. That's three things. Like that's three things, and I ain't gonna say like 3 strikes, but that's basically you're trying to.
That's exactly what it is.
That's basically,
you got 3 strikes. You black, you a woman, and you like women. 3 strikes. You out.
That's why
you're trying to get people to. I don't know if we're there as a society yet. And I ain't saying it's right, but that's where you're trying to convince. You can convince most people that women and men are equal. That's been a fight that's been fought for generations now. You can convince most people that a black deserves the same opportunities as white. Those are fights that's been fought for a couple of generations now, about 40, 50 years. The lesbian part, that's something that's a little bit more recent of a movement. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, and I ain't saying that they don't deserve equal rights or anything like that, but that's a more recent movement that doesn't have the building and strong following and support that the other movements have at this current point in time.
And you're right.
All right.
You're right.
So let me go ahead and put a bow on this. Rose, say what you got to say. I'm gonna let.
I got nothing to say.
All right, then.
I agree with what I said.
All right, then. And B. Lou?
No, I'm just listening.
He ain't touching that lesbo subject. I wouldn't even.
All right. So where do we stand right now as far as what are the next steps after we march, after we protest? What do we do now?
Go back into our community.
Yep.
I hear a lot of people every Sunday is about brunch. It's about all the things they want to do. Nobody gives back. Nobody volunteers. That's how change is made. People have to mentor. People have to spend time with the youth. People have to give back to seniors. I mean, we have to engage our communities on a local level if we want to go anywhere.
We need to control black dollars. That's our greatest strength, and we give that strength away to basically every other race, That's why they coming in black neighborhoods and they set up businesses and all of these things. And people are getting rich off of the black community. We only represent 13% of this country, but yet we are like the highest grossing, I think, spenders or consumers as far as the country goes. Because, we give our money to everybody else. So we have to start being selfish with our money the same way the Jews do, the same way Asians do. Everybody does that. They keep their money in their community, but for some reason, well, not really some reason,
I was about to call you out on that shit. I was about to say how.
It's through decades of brainwashing that black people are not to be trusted, and black people believe that too. So it's like, okay.
And that's why it's so important, though, for those business owners, for those millionaires, for those people that have made it, to come back to the community and teach one.
Actually, I got to pause you for a second. There was something that B. Lou said that really stuck out with me that I resonate with. You said that, one more time, B. Lou, how we have to spend the black dollar?
Well, I mean, we just got to keep it within our community. We have to circulate our money within our community.
No. After that, you said why we don't. Why we don't?
Oh, why we don't? Because we're brainwashed. Well, people are brainwashed.
And you got to trust black people.
Yeah, black people are not to be trusted.
Black people are not to be trusted. Levi, what you think about that?
There has some truth in it within the community. I would, the community at large, there's dissension within, a lot of dissension.
Hold on, they trying to,
that goes back.
White supremacy is trying to fuck with your phone right now. Go ahead and say it one more time.
Oh, my bad. I'll just say, there's a lot of dissension within the black community. And there's a lot of mistrust and distrust.
But where does
and
that come
things
from,
like
though? But
that.
where does that come
Some
from,
of
though?
that, it started with slavery, but that's not an excuse for the way it is today. That's
Yeah,
where it started from.
that was kind of the catalyst. But I mean, it's everywhere. It's
Right.
TV, it's propaganda, it's news stories, it's everything that's kind of around you. It's movies and even cartoons. It's little stuff that you see that you don't even realize is kind of like getting embedded in your subconscious, and it kind of gears your thinking when it comes down time to make a decision between, am I going to go to this small mom and pop shop black business, or am I going to go to this big conglomerate that's all white and shiny,
Right. And we need to stop like getting out of this. We need to leave that mentality that like blacks are not to be trusted. I think it hurts more when somebody who looks like us hurts us, but at the same time, blacks been hurt, ripped off, and misled and abused by other ethnicities for centuries. You know what I'm saying? So I think we just kind of have to get out of that narrative and say, you know what? I'm going to do my research like I did with anything else, but I'm looking for a
Pause.
respectable black
Pause. Pause.
entity.
You said like we do with everything else as far as research. We don't research nothing else though. Who's researched? No, listen for a second though. Who's researched Walmart? We
A lot of
go to.
people have.
No. What I'm
In
saying
today's
is
world, they have.
no. What I'm saying is, as an average consumer who researches Walmart and says, you know what? I want to make sure that they're black owned, or I want to make sure that they have enough black products that can support what my initiative is. Like, I feel like we've been indoctrinated in our society where we don't give a second thought to mainstream society. Like, our
Right.
society is Kroger, Giant Eagle, Farmer Jack, Walmart, Meyer. Like, those are all the big box stores that we go to and we spend our money every day. But then if
Right,
you
right.
but then if
But,
you were
but
to
look,
have a black store, you got to do your research. And that's the thing that
right.
pisses me off, is where we have to say, you know what, I got to do my research about the black one.
But look, this is the whole
That's a
point.
good point.
But hold on. But the point is, we have to be enlightened to even get to
Hold
the
on.
point.
Whose point though? Because Ashley agreed with me.
No. I'm saying it's everybody's point. The point is, like you asked what's the next step? Both Ashley and B. Lou say you need to go to your community. That means you are enlightened. That means that you know what, doing what I've been doing isn't helping. Marching down Woodward Avenue or any main street, Michigan Avenue in Chicago, that's part of it. But what's the next step? Going back to your community, you have to enlighten yourself. You have to say, you know what, my black dollar, that $1 trillion that black people make in America, it can't just go to Nordstrom and Dooney and Burke or Louis Vuitton or even Nike, Adidas. It has to go towards helping build our communities. So like you said, the Walmart, it's very convenient for me to go to Walmart. It's right across the street from me. However, I should be like, you know what? What's a minority owned grocery store? You say, damn, this chicken, $10, I can get it $7.99 at Walmart. But you know what? That's a sacrifice that I should make, and we all should make, if we are serious about empowering the community. Now, also, going back to the research, now that black business owner can't be like, well, shit, I just came up, I got 20 more black people shopping at the store this week. Okay, but what's your responsibility, bro?
Yeah.
Now,
So
how
you
many
guys are
times?
both right. Hold on, Lip. He
Go
he
ahead.
has a point. He has a point. And what's happening is you guys are saying different things. We do have to go back to our communities. I don't think he's saying that we have to research the black people. I think it's just enlightenment overall. Because once you even Wells Fargo, if you're banking at Wells Fargo, whether you're white, black, or Asian, you shouldn't be banking there because their practices are dirty.
Ashley, can I just, one thing I want to ask you is it a real statement to say that we don't research white businesses, but we do research black ones?
Some, yes, I've heard that. I've heard that before, and it's my point is that we should be researching all businesses to make sure that they're corporately and socially responsible.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not giving back to my community, I don't want anything to do with you.
Right.
I
The
don't
That
know.
requires work, and people are lazy. They rather just see what the commercial says and say, you know what, that made a lot of sense. I'm gonna go with
I
this
agree.
business over here.
I
Right,
agree
right,
with
but
B-Lou
But it
100%.
shouldn't be that way.
we're talking
It
about
should,
enlightenment.
but that's how it is. Until research is way more easier and convenient, that's just how it's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm not trying to disagree with you, Ashley, because I actually agree that the intent and ultimately the goal should be that we trust our fellow man, our fellow black man, or person of color to do by us right. But we still shop blindly at these other stores, and then when someone says, let me give you an example. If someone were to tell you right now, I can give you, let's say, 10% interest on a loan at Chase. if you were to invest in that loan in Chase, you're like, okay, cool. Somebody told me it's 10%, cool. I'll go do that. But if I were to bring up a black bank that you've never heard of before, there would be a reluctance to invest in that bank. That's just the truth.
Right.
Heard of the bank,
But
not
that's
because you never heard of the bank, not black.
right.
Right, but why have you never heard of the bank, bro? It's
Because the black bank
2017.
doesn't have the resources in the
It's
history.
never time.
So what we're saying is because you haven't had enough time to build the infrastructure, to build trust
It's
in the
not
bank.
time, it's money.
Right.
Okay,
It's-
so if it's
you
money,
can't
then that's
compare it to
us. That's us,
but
though.
But look though, you can't act like it's all even. It's an even playing field. Chase Bank has been around for a long time because even before they've been acquiring smaller banks, like Bank of America acquired LaSalle Bank. Like these are huge corporations.
Bro, I agree with you. I'm with you.
But
I'm saying
why are you penalizing the black or the smaller bank because they don't have the same resources in advertising?
I'm penalizing the people who... No, I'm not. Exactly, Levi.
Any small bank I haven't heard of.
Yeah, Levi, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's not on the basis of race. I think we bringing in race where it doesn't need to be brought in. It would be if you black, white, Jew, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. If I ain't never heard of you, I'm gonna research you.
Right.
I'm gonna be more skeptical. That's just
my thing is society has taught us that white is right. White has been our society. So
and clearly it's wrong.
What I'm saying is okay. Wow.
I agree with Jay on that one.
What I'm saying is, to Levi's point is, we've been given the commercials and we've seen the ads and we've been indoctrinated into the fact that Chase, Wells Fargo, National City, and PNC, whatever bank you want to bank with, those are like the staples of society. But to go and find a black bank in your neighborhood, in your environment, you have to do the research. And to be Lou's point, niggas is lazy. That's literally what he said. And I agree with it 100%.
But not only are in quotes niggas lazy.
I'm sorry, not niggas. I mean niggas is lazy. Like black people who are not
you guys
willing.
are saying the same thing.
Right.
You're agreeing with that. So are you lazy?
Right, nigga.
Whoa! Wow. Yes, actually, yes, I am.
So that's what I'm saying. What is it going to take to change who's really serious about changing the black empowerment movement, the black dollar, embracing it? Who's really serious about it? If you can't do a little extra research, how the hell you gonna make a real difference for trillions of dollars?
Now the thing is though, here's my thing as far as the banks, because they had, I don't know who started it, but there was a movement kind of going on where it was saying like, bank black or whatever.
Right.
And I went ahead and I did a little bit of research and I found one that was, actually pretty close to me. So I'm like, all right, cool. And it wasn't saying like, take all of your money and put it in that bank. Now you could do that if you wanted to, but they were just saying make a deposit. I made $100 deposit and opened a new account. And then actually, started making some, just doing little savings in that account just to like, do my part.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But those banks are like you said, they're small banks. I still use Chase just because it's convenient. So it's like if I'm traveling anywhere, I know there's got to be a Chase somewhere around. You know what I'm saying? But I can't put all my money in this one bank and then I get stuck somewhere and I need money.
Well, a lot of those smaller banks are affiliated with co-ops and credit unions, though. So granted, they're not as accessible as like a Chase, but they're around though too. So that should be a big detriment.
But the thing is, it's going beyond that a little bit, right? Because it's bank black. What happened to that movement is stopped because people are like, man, I ain't doing that shit, or nah, I'm with Chase or whatever. And it's like, don't stop the movement. We will never get anywhere if we just like keep giving up.
But you know
and
what
I
it is,
see that a lot.
Ashley, you know what it is though? What's the incentive?
What's the incentive?
Right.
No,
the incentive got to be to push the culture forward. But
right.
Span
It
is
has
way
to be
shorter now.
And that's what I wanted y'all to say. I wanted y'all to bring back forward the topic, which is the whole point of this is to bank black. You have to do it because it's more than just I can make a greater interest rate.
Right, it's bigger
you can't
than
do that.
you.
Right, it's for the culture. Like
it's different for each situation.
No, I'm asking your situation.
I think that question is for each its own. I don't think it's like one set answer, one right answer. Like if it's 4% rate of return on a mutual fund, and that's black owned, and there's one that's 12% that's not black owned. Well, if I'm saving for my retirement, I'm gonna choose 12% because I got to retire. I ain't about to say I'm supporting black.
And that was my point, and that was my point exactly.
Because over the court, and let me explain why. Because if I put, for example, if I put $50,000 into a retirement account right now, and it's getting, let's say, 10% interest, I'm 30 years old right now. By the time I'm 70, that 50,000 look a lot like 400. I'm not taking that and then and turning that 400 to like 100.
But if everybody thinks like that, we'll never get anywhere.
Exactly.
I think that's what J. Lip is saying.
$300,000. Wait, that extra $300,000 that 50,000 will generate, I can then give that to my family when I grow, or pass that down to my son. Pass that down to your son.
But it's still you, though. That's my thing. Is all I'm hearing is what you're saying is I can do for mine. I can do for mine.
Right, exactly.
And that's not the culture. That's not the community. Like, when are we going to break the chains and say, you know what, I'm going to take this hit because it's going to be better for us overall? Because hold on, Levi, hold on. 3 generations down the road, what if black banks were competitive? Because we invested now.
Right,
I don't think you have to take a hit in order to get ahead. I think we need to find a way to get ahead while not taking a hit.
No, that's not possible right now. That's not possible.
What they say, there's no progress without sacrifice.
Right.
Like B-Lou just said, there's no progress without sacrifice. You got to sacrifice your bread for your family to put it towards.
Why are we the only ones sitting here talking about sacrifice? I've never heard this from any other like Hispanic initiative, from any Asian initiative.
Oh, they sacrifice big time. They sacrifice big time. Yeah. They sacrifice by living like 10 muchachos in a house. They sacrifice.
This nigga said muchachos.
But that's their culture.
That's hold on.
That's their culture, and they don't look at that as a sacrifice.
They want to get ahead. That's why.
No, they don't look at that as a sacrifice. I work with some Chaldeans, for example.
He was about to say I work with some muchachos.
No, one guy was Chaldean, for example. He's 21 years old. This kid making like $60,000, $70,000 a year. So he can easily move out on his own. Damn near, probably over 100 right now. He could easily move out on his own. So he was about to, but then his dad looked at him like, why the fuck would you do that? You could do whatever you want to do at home. And when you got enough money where if you want to do something like, I don't know, bring a girl over or have some private time, you got more than enough money to go to a hotel anytime you want or do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. But why would you waste money on a room?
Exactly.
Or a rent or a park?
It goes back to money.
That's
their culture. Exactly. That's not a part of the black culture. That's exactly the point.
But that's their cultural values, though. That's not.
We can change ours so that we can make moves like they do. That's exactly the point.
Right. Exactly.
Whereas our cultural values are not to do that. I don't know if that's changing that whole thing is really going to pay off. I think what would be more beneficial is if we continue to do part of what we all doing on this podcast is we're all fairly educated people. And it's not just education.
Nigga said fairly. He hold everybody on the podcast.
Hold on now. We all starting.
We all fairly educated, but we all graduated.
We all people. So we all trying to get our life right. All trying to move and make it better for the next person.
No, you don't make it better.
No, we're not. That's Levi. That's my point, and that's what I'm saying with what Ashley's point was, which is it requires sacrifice, and really was Belou's point too. It requires that sacrifice. If it's going to cost you, a couple, I can't really call how much money it'll cost you, but to be selfless, it means that your generations down the road will have more opportunity. We have to have that vision, and I feel like right now we're so scoped into tunnel vision of me and mine that we don't help each other. We don't care about each other. We really don't care even about building the infrastructure.
He trying to say there's no Africa town. There's no
right. There's no, and it doesn't need to be Africa town.
Why not? But why not though?
What is Africa?
No. Hear me out. I'm gonna come back around to it. I'm not saying Africa town.
So many different
we're
niggas there.
Dispersed and disseminated. It would be different. Suppose like we knew exactly where our origins come from. Suppose like we came from West Africa, we came from Zaire or from whatever country, different countries, and then we came and uprooted ourselves here in effort to make a better life for ourselves, or because there was more economic opportunity. Or even look at the Africans that migrate to America. They happen to be more successful by and large than I think, in my personal opinion, yes, than African Americans. So,
but you know why? Because they have that same mentality of, I'm going to come here, we're going to build a business, we're going to save our money, we're all going to live together. It's this culture of winning.
Preach.
Yeah.
And they do
Preach.
it.
They don't have generations of slavery and brainwashing to fight against either.
That's true. They don't.
So
but at what point are we going to say enough is enough? We know we've been enslaved. How long?
How long are we going to sit on this pedestal and say, you know what? Life dealt us a shitty hand. It sucks. We went through slavery. We went through oppression. We went through Jim Crow. We went through civil rights injustices. When are we going to say, you know what? It's time for us to take a sacrifice and build for the next generation? When?
Look at the Jewish. They've built just this incredible amount of wealth in a matter of 50 years. 50
Absolutely.
Years? We've been enslaved since 400 years.
And actually, people joke about it, and it's really a joke, but seriously, like, Jewish people do own Hollywood. Like, they really came here and said, you know what, we're the only ones here. Let's group together. Let's pool our resources.
Group economics.
And then here we go. Same thing with the same gas station I
but
go
that
to.
wasn't.
Hold on, Levi, hold on. The gas station I go to every morning. I ask the lady at the gas station when I go there. I get my gas. I go in, I get my little Gatorade or whatever. And I said to her, I noticed that it looks like a little young version of you works here during the nighttime. She was like, oh yeah, that's my daughter. And I said, so your daughter works here at night. You work here during the day. Like, what's the plan? And she was like, yeah, well, we're trying to save up because we're going to open up another gas station down the road. And then I'm going to give it to my nephews. And then my nephews are going to build that up. And I said, well, what happens after that? And they said, well, they're going to do it for my uncles. And then my uncles are going to open one up down the street from that. Like, that whole mentality of we're going to grind until we all eat. Black people don't have that mentality at all. At all.
Wait a minute.
It's brainwashing though, because we've been taught, you work hard, pay your bills, and that's it. And then you'll save up for retirement, and then you die. That is like decades and decades of brainwashing. So yeah, it's gonna take just as long to undo that. That's hardwired.
And also too, let's also give a credit to that respective family, because her daughter may not want to work in no funky ass gas station.
Oh, she hates me.
Her nephews might not want that gas station either. But the thing is, they sacrifice for the greater good, as opposed to, like, a lot of times African Americans. Okay, Dad, you got a auto repair shop, you got a candy store. I don't want to do that shit. I want to do something else. And it's like, granted, it's good to have your own dreams and ambitions because that's how you move forward. But that's another person starting from scratch, struggling, grinding with no person to take over what the other person started. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes I think our ambitions can be our greatest strength and our greatest adversity.
I just feel like sometimes we feel like we have to do so much for self that we kind of segregate ourselves from the fact that, are you about the culture or are you about yourself? Yes, it's an easy question. Are you doing this for yourself? And I hate to quote him because I hate Dame Dash. I really do not like that guy. But he said on the Breakfast Club, he said, are you hustling for your first name or your last name? If you're hustling for your last name, you're trying to make your next generations, plural, 3 generations down, have a greater opportunity. You know how you can do that? Bank black. Put all your money in the black banks. Put all your money in the black shopping markets.
You know what Dame Dash said? I love that interview, and I know exactly which one you're talking about. He said, I don't teach my kids how to get jobs. I teach them how to make them.
Exactly.
So it's entrepreneurship. That's how you leave a legacy.
And that's what
you
the
can't
Indian
leave
people
a job.
do with the gas. And that's what the Indian people do with the gas station that I just talked about. They're
Exactly.
making jobs for the family. She said, as soon as we get enough money, we're going to buy another gas station down the road for my nephews. Like, they're thinking about the fact that even though they're going to buy another gas station, we're going to pay this one off so that all we are is making money off of gas. We ain't even got to work here no more. We're just getting money cash over fist. We can send our kids to college. We can do whatever we got to do. But we're willing to sacrifice our lives to make the next generations succeed or
Yep.
have a better opportunity. And I have yet to see a single black entity do that or have that level of sacrifice in my
But I
life.
think I think it is starting though. That the turn is, I would say, is actually kind of starting like this year. I'm seeing that shift start to happen where more and more black people are waking up and thinking more of a with a business mind, an investor mind, instead of just a consumerism kind of a mind.
Explain that.
You know,
Explain that.
okay, Jay Morrison, Jay Mr. Real Estate Morrison is starting up, the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. That's a huge thing because, for one, like, they wouldn't have even been able to get that fund set up unless, without the laws that Obama passed, is called the Jobs Act, which basically allowed public and private, funding as far as like real estate ventures and real estate development is concerned. So now it's basically a big, kind of like a big piggy bank that a lot of people, not even just black, but he's, specifically marketing towards black because he's going to be investing in black communities as far as building them up and building, building houses and businesses and things like that, and developing businesses, not just, buying houses and flipping them, or buying houses, fix them up and then sell it or something like that. He's developing businesses and building buildings from scratch pretty much. So that's creating jobs, that's creating more opportunities, and it's an easy way for people to be a part of something. All you have to do is donate $500, I think, was like the minimum that you would have to donate, and you actually get a return on your investment. It's not just like a donation or a gift that you give into a cause. It's actually an investment that you are going to see a return on. It's not going to be, huge or overnight, but it's an investment, and it's an investment in your community, and it's very easy to do. It's convenient, so.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. I encourage everybody to go check it out. Tulsa Real Estate Fund.
Now, I'm not gonna be a dick about this, but on the last episode, J.Rhodes said that when you give money, it's not an investment. So he said it's a donation.
Yeah, but this is not a donation. It is an
Right,
investment.
it's an
Because you're
investment.
going to get a return from it. You're going to get a return on your
Right, but
investment.
on the
It's
last episode, I said
It's an
that if you-
8% return on your investment.
Right, but my
Right.
thing is, I said in the last episode that if you give money to a community or a project in the community,
A nonprofit. You said a nonprofit.
Well,
Nah,
that's the same thing because they're building these entities that will have a return on the community. So it may not be an individual return,
Thank
but
you. That's what I was
communal.
saying.
I mean, if you want to talk about a goodwill sense, yes, but as far as like the individual sense, like he made a donation to a nonprofit that is making improvement in the community.
Yeah, that's major.
He has no personal interest or investment in that entity. That was the bare bones of it.
But
it's
what difference does that make? I'm still
collective.
getting the same revenue of making sure that the community
You're not.
is
Well,
putting
you're not
out
getting any
better
revenue.
product.
You're not getting any revenue.
Yes, I am.
You
Yes, I am.
You made a donation.
No, if I'm investing in the community, I'm still getting a good revenue because I'm making sure that the people that are in that environment are turning out with opportunities that are better than what I had.
Right,
You have
and that's
no-
how
you
we
have-
should be thinking.
Exactly.
You have no
Thank
say,
you, Ashley. Thank
influence
you.
on what they do. They could take that donation and say, we're going to change the gears and to go to Houston tomorrow.
Stop saying
You say, well, then-
donation. I said invest.
You have to understand that goes back to research and understanding
Thank you.
their
Thank you.
corporate responsibility
we
model.
talked
right?
about that too last week. You can visit it on
With
YouTube.com.
With investments, J.Rhodes is talking about, or with revenue, J.Rhodes is talking about money, like direct dollars, not like
we
Like the
understand that, but what
cultural
we're
payoff
saying
or
is
emotional
right.
payoff.
We want a cultural payoff. Enough is enough. We've
And
done
that's
our
good.
selfish things. That's good. We all want to eat, but we have to think about the community as a whole and investing in projects like the Jewish did to
Wait a
push
minute.
the culture forward.
Hold on. And yes, and in regards to that, like y'all said, let's take Warner Brothers, for example. That was started by two brothers, literally. And the brothers didn't even like each other, much less. But anyway, they started that and built that into empire. But that was a family thing. Yet when I gave an example of giving back,
White supremacy is
Like
fucking up your
leaving,
phone line. See, white supremacy knows when you talking.
some of my money from my family, that was criticized. My bad. This better?
Yes, much
Yes.
better. Yeah.
Thank God.
Okay, good. So, no, I was saying Warner Brothers literally was started by two brothers that didn't even like each other that much, but they were Jewish and they kind of got this thing off and running. It was a family thing. It started small.
Mhm.
When you're leaving
There we go.
wealth or
Warner Brothers got your
leaving
ass
money
again.
for the next generation. Again, that's like that's doing it for your. All right, I'm gonna try to stand in one is X fine. All right, this better.
Yes.
All right. So,
Valid point. We know where you're going with this, Levi. I most certainly do. But what we're trying to say is, yes, some people do it for individual purposes. But I guess Rose attacked Lip about his investment or donation to nonprofits don't matter.
Yes, he
right?
did.
No, no, no,
Yes,
no,
he
no,
did.
no,
No, no, no, no, no, no, no, no, no, no. Nigga, if you try to negate this, I will edit this shit out so fast. I will edit this shit out so fast, bro. Stop it. Stop it. Now I'm gonna let Levi say what he gotta say. I'm gonna let Ashley say what she gotta say. Hold on, no, you don't get no voice right now. Listen, I'm gonna let Levi say what he gotta say and Ashley say what she gotta say because there's one more topic and I'm mad last time we didn't get to it. So Levi, say what you gotta say so we can do this.
all right, I was just saying that Warner Brothers and the example that you gave, the wonderful example you gave, Lip, of the lady with the gas station. That was all on a smaller scale. Yet, when I said leaving money for your family whenever you pass on, that was criticized just because that money wasn't left necessarily in a quote unquote black bank. So what you're saying?
No, it's a little hairy. That's not quite what it was. What we're saying is you have to think of the collective, right? So yes, that Asian family or Indian family, pass down those gas stations. But there's a collective piece that we're missing because they all think like that. We don't.
Yep.
So we have to do a little bit more than they have to because we don't think like that. So sometimes we got to sacrifice and do it for the culture. Yep. And that's why that phrase came from. Do it for the culture because it's bigger than us.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, and I support the culture. With that being said,
with your thoughts and your intentions, yes.
With that being said, so you're saying you would put your money, your retirement money, in a black bank, get a 4% rate of return versus putting it in a mainstream investment company or whatever.
Don't say mainstream. Say white. Say white.
It don't have to. It might not be white. I don't.
What bank do you know that's not white if it's not black?
I haven't done research on the origin of the bank, but who's to say that it's just solely because it's not black, it's white. It's not that cut and dry.
That's true.
Okay, that's fair.
That would be discounting Asians and Hispanics and Jews and other people.
Go ahead. What you were saying. So ask the question.
But yeah, but with that being said, you're saying that y'all all saying that would it be smarter for the culture, you would take a 4% rate of return on your retirement money if there was a black investment company where you put your money in for retirement, like mutual funds, stock funds, whatever.
Yes.
And you're saying you put it there, get a 4% rate of return versus in a mainstream, more like a Fidelity or a Morgan Stanley or whatever, get 12%.
I said, Ashley, before you say that, I would say yes because I know that when you put money into an investment, I understand now after taking classes and learning about investments, I understand that the money you're putting in right now until you retire, they're using that money to leverage their business. Exactly. So if they're taking my money, let's say I got a $20,000 check coming, well, $25,000 now coming from my previous job for pension. If I put that into a black business and I say, go ahead, invest this, blah, 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 I know that I'm building them up more than I could if I just put $100 in their savings account. Like I'm a part of their building. Like it's cut and dry. Like they can't grow.
I'll just say this: as far as like the major banks, and this is just comparing banks to credit unions, not even black or white, but it's like you get a way better return.
I got one more topic, so
you get a way bigger return investing in a credit union, or just putting your money into a credit union as opposed to putting it in a major bank.
Yeah, that's true.
For one, you're a shareholder in the credit union, so if the credit union does good, you actually get dividends back. Whereas with a bank, you don't get nothing back. So. That's just that, and you also get way better interest rates on your auto loans, and they have way better programs. They're smaller. That's the only I would say con as far as credit unions go, but you get way better bang for your buck. All right, go ahead, Lip.
And hold on, and I would just say to make this real quick, Levi, you don't have to put all your money in a black bank. I understand that, when you look at interest rate and return, of course, one is going to look more attractive, but why do you have to put all of your money in the quote unquote black bank or the mainstream bank? Why don't you just split it up? You say, you know what? I got 30,000 to play with. I'll put 20 in the mainstream. I'll put 10 in the black. I mean, that 10,000 helps. So,
Because that's how they live. Like every bank makes money off of the money that's put into them. So when you give Chase or Morgan P. Chase or any type of white bank you put money in, the way they make money is you give them your money now. They spend it and they invest it however they choose, and then they hope that you don't come back
into
right.
jail cells.
Well, I'm not. Come on, Ashley. Like I'm not.
I mean, it could be any all kind of
right.
stuff.
It could be, but what I'm saying is they're not going to. They're taking your money and they're playing with it. They're making money off of your money.
They're all, but
right.
That's what I'm saying. They're building jails. Right,
but I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
The only reason why I'm saying that is because I want to make it clear that they're taking your money and then they're playing with your money. And then when you come and try to get your money back, they hope to have your money, which usually they do because they have enough patience. Obviously, all of us, we all bank with Chase or
not me.
Okay, all of most other people besides Ashley
and me.
Okay, besides most people. They take your money. Okay, they take your money. They play with it. They give you your money back, but they've already invested it. They've already made their interest. Like that's what a bank does. So if we could let a J.P. Morgan or Chase or whoever make those same decisions, why can't we allow the black banks to do the same thing? That's my main point. And with that being said, my last question of the podcast, with everybody being silent now, is of course leadership. I asked each and every one of you outside of this podcast what your perspective is on leadership. My issue is we put too much effort and put too much energy in leadership as far as we need to have a Farrakhan, we need to have a Umar Johnson, we need to have a Boyce Watkins, we need to have a Roland Martin, anybody that can speak for us on a social media platform. Why do we feel like as black people we need to have these basically talking heads speak on our behalf when we have the strength to unite together without them? That's my point.
What's wrong with having them though?
There's nothing wrong with having them if they're representing everything that you represent, and they don't always do that.
But there's never going to be any one person or any one organization that's going to represent everything you believe in individually.
Except for you. So,
right, but
do it for yourself. Okay. So do it for yourself.
Right, but okay. But the thing is, if I agree with 5 out of 10 things from Boyce Watkins, 4 out of 10 things of Umar Johnson, and 8 out of 10 things of, let's just say, Brother Poe Light or whatever, that's still, they're still bigger than I am individually. Now, granted, I could create another entity and say, you know what, in the J.Rhodes Foundation, we believe in X, Y, and Z, and not those other things.
That's right, J.Rhodes.
But, and that's good. However, at the same time, there is some cannibalism because out of those people who are following Umar Johnson, Poe Light, whatever, they're going to be like, do I go with J.Rhodes or do I stay with Poe Light? They both saying the same thing, but maybe there's some minor differences. How come we just can't take their principles and make it work for us individually, but we still support their movement?
I'm all about supporting the movement, bro. But why do we have to make them a figurehead of what we want to do with our culture?
They don't need a leader. They need fathers.
No,
they need people. They need mentors. They need people on the ground. It's not about this leadership stuff. Okay?
Yeah, but those mentors could use the quote unquote leader as a reference to say, all right, so see the way he did this. This is how you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? But like everybody has to learn
in your
from
community.
Somebody.
That's what I'm saying. You're right. That's exactly my point. So if there are plenty. I'm sure all of you guys are, leaders in your own right in your own communities that some young boy could look up.
Levi.
but that's the problem though. That's when you end up with the problem of too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
No,
you know
what I'm saying. Agreed. I think it's important for for young boys and girls to see it in actuality. So when that top leader is flawed, then their whole dreams and hopes are crushed. We've seen it before. So if we have more of those on the ground, if all four of you guys were out there on the ground with those young boys, that could change a culture in itself.
Well said,
Yeah.
Ash.
Yeah, but even still, back when Malcolm X was out there, of course he had people on the ground. It wasn't just him by himself. He had a team around him. Everybody needs a team. But my thing is this: if there's no
And he
leadership,
still
right? There's
got
no
shot. He
direction.
still got killed by his own people.
Allegedly.
I mean, that's
It's documented,
a
bro.
whole
No,
nother,
you
that's a
said
whole
you
different
said you pay respect to Dick Gregory. Dick
conversation.
Gregory, the one who said that he was killed by white people. What are you talking about?
That's a whole
I
different
can respect Dick
conversation.
Gregory and disagree with him. Bro, that's the problem with black people. Right there. I can agree with somebody and disagree with them. I agree with the fact that he is a great activist, but he was wrong in the fact that he said that he was killed by white people. Malcolm X was killed by his own brothers, man.
But if they were hired by white people, do it.
Yes, he does.
I'm saying,
Even more.
Right. So I'm saying, so it ain't about who killed them. It's about why he died and who was behind it. I mean,
Right.
But that's all. That's
Now,
neither here nor there.
trigger.
But back to the point, like that, you proving my point, Lip. You respect and you admire Dick Gregory, but you don't believe it. You don't agree with everything he said. That's the same thing with these leaders today. Like we don't have to agree with everything they say, but if they have something that you believe in, just do that then.
Or even a direction. Like if everybody's is going in these opposite directions, everybody got all these different, difference in opinions, then as far as the community as a whole, we all going in separate directions, and where are we going? As a whole?
Everybody should have
away
the
from
same
each other.
direction. Economic freedom. That's number one.
Right.
Love for thy brother. That's number two. Community building. That's number. I mean, this stuff is simple. These are things you should be doing in your life anyway.
And I don't.
Ashley, you know what your problem is? You're saying something that's the truth to some people who don't necessarily agree with the fact that that is a priority in their life. Quite frankly, that's
You doing a lot of dry snitching. You may start naming names, Mr. Moderator.
no. I'm talking about myself.
I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying myself.
That's
To
a
you-
real stand-up guy. I appreciate that.
No, I'm gonna stand tall on that. Like you're saying that we should be a part of the community where we trust in these people and we have faith. But I'm like Levi,
You don't trust niggas.
I mean, no, I don't trust niggas. I don't. And I don't trust niggas because I've seen what niggas did to me and my family and my life. And here we go with this whole, oh, you ain't experienced no drama. You from Southfield. You ain't never had no drama really in your life. Bro, I'm trying to tell you that it's not about whether you had a gun pointed to your head or not. It's about the fact that the people who I'm afraid of right now, it's not the police right now. It's the people that's kicking my back door.
But see, you sound like if D was like you really sound like you got a lot of fear in you. And the thing is, you can't identify or segment like there's a certain type of black people that you're afraid
There
of.
there are two types of black people.
But hold on. But that's with anybody. That you got good acting white folks, you got good acting, bad acting white folks. It's everybody. So why are you why are you afraid of your own people and afraid?
I'm
to
not
invest in
afraid of my own people. I'm telling people that I'm saying that it's black people that I trust, and then it's niggas. The black people that I trust are the people on the podcast. The people that I trust, my brother Levi, you, Rhodes, B. Lou,
trust
Ashley.
a
But I don't
percentage of
trust
your
the
own
nigga.
people.
I don't trust the nigga that's kicking in the back door of my grandma's house to rob her. Fuck them. I don't give a fuck.
So that's going to prevent you from investing in that community because that
No,
nigga
it
stays
didn't. No, it
there.
didn't stop me from. No, we moved my grandma out of that hood. Let the
Good.
hood, let it devour itself.
Oh, this guy right here.
I'm laughing, but I'm also very sad. You know why? Because no, seriously, because so many people have given up on black people and black communities, and that's exactly why they're ravaging and savaging
Ashley,
the way they are.
I feel like you're being irrational if you try to say right now that that's the reason why people are ravaging the hood is because I moved my grandma out the hood. Like that's a one instance situation.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if everybody stayed in those hoods, right, instead of going out to the suburbs and making their lives
Oh
better.
no, I didn't move I didn't move her to the suburbs. I moved my grandma to Alabama.
No, what she's saying is, but if people,
it's bigger
good
than that.
people was staying there,
Exactly.
then there's no,
It could change.
It could change.
It
And
can
I agree
never
with
even-
you. And I agree
yeah.
with you. So if there was an opportunity for me to be there, Sure.
But there is. You just have to make it.
No, it's
But
not.
that's a
Wait.
tough beast to fight though, man, because that's
Thank
like
you.
again years and years of like a trickle down effect. Like those the quote unquote nigga that's kicking in your back door that's a result of years and years and decades of even of all of this oppression and just different disadvantages in all of these things that kind of played a factor into that, and that's just the end result of it.
Right,
So that's a hard thing
Yeah,
to fight.
I feel like
but you act like people can't change, people can't grow. I mean, like let's just be
But you
very.
want,
Invest in
but
the
you want to put your
community.
life on the line for that. What I
You
told
gotta be
y'all,
willing. You gotta be
listen,
willing to sacrifice for the greater cause.
Exactly.
no,
You
and
said it, Lip.
what
You
I'm willing to
said
sacrifice is my money, not my life
That's
or
not
my grandma's
sacrificing.
life.
it. There
That's
you
not
go.
sacrificing.
All right, hold on.
Hey.
Levi, say something. God damn, Levi, say something.
I'll let y'all go at it.
No,
Hey,
You
hey,
been-
but
You
Rose,
doing
you're
it?
not gonna go move to the west side of Chicago though, man. You're not gonna go live
You know
over
what?
there.
There are some neighborhoods on the west side of Chicago I have contemplated because you can, like, okay, case in point. So I stay in a historic black neighborhood, and studios go around from like 800,
where
900.
exactly? Where exactly?
I'm right here on the edge of Bronzeville, Kenwood, and Hyde Park. All right. So in this area, studios go from about 800 to 1,000. One bedroom's about $1,100 to $1,300, and so on and so on. I can go on the west side where it's a little rougher and a little more beat down, and I can get a 2-bedroom house damn near for $900. So it's like, damn, that's a lot of money I could be saving and get a whole lot more space. But at the same time, it comes with niggas hanging out on the street all night. I mean, I've been over there. I got a friend still over there. So it's like, I don't mind staying over there for a little bit with my white Benz, but I wouldn't want to be over there all the time. Like, but at the same time,
Oh my God. So you
But-
just proved his point.
no. But
Yeah.
Ashley,
Thank you, Ashley. Thank
Oh my
you.
God.
Thank you,
that's
Ashley.
surface level. But at the same time, if I was like, you know what, I ain't no better than the rest of these dudes. I ain't afraid of these dudes, and I choose to stay here. That's a sacrifice I'm going to have to make. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, I don't think nothing will happen to me. But there's that one possibility that fear that holds people back. I can go over there. I swear I can go over there and be good. But this is the notion of something could happen that holds people back, though.
Right. So that's what Lip is saying. And
Right.
my
Thank you.
point
That's
is
my- thank
opposing
you.
that.
Right now,
Opposing
I
that.
could
to
overcome
say,
that if I wanted to, though.
But
If
you
I-
didn't, or you don't.
Because I'm right here.
Get
I'm
him.
Right.
right.
Get him,
But that's
Ashley.
my point.
Get him,
So,
Ashley.
okay, I'll use me as an example. I can
Right.
live.
We're talking about renting, and like I said, there's going to be moving to the west side for a bigger bedroom because it would take me twice as long to get to work. That's
My point is when good people, or let me rephrase that, when educated people, well-to-do people, people that have some type of means leave communities, that's how those people are left with nothing.
right.
And I see it, and because I live it and I know it.
So you from DC, right?
Yep.
All right, and you born and raised. You went to Michigan State, then moved back to DC, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, can you tell me a little bit about your background, like in terms of like the status? Did you grow up like? Would you say middle class? Would you say lower middle? Would you say upper? Did you say lower class? And then kind of like where you are today. Have you moved since then? Has your economic status changed? Since then. That I'm just asking because I want to do a compare, because all of us is born and raised in Detroit for the most part, or Detroit area for the most part, and I want to see the difference between DC and Detroit.
So there isn't much difference, and I appreciate you asking that. I will use myself as a case study. I grew up working class. Well, actually not even that. Probably I grew up around the projects. I went to public school. My mom was a single mom. My dad was murdered to gun violence.
Sorry.
So thank you. I've lived in impoverished communities. I've, like a phoenix, rose from the ashes, but I've come back to my community. I could live in other neighborhoods in DC that are a little more prosperous but I chose to come back to say that all people from where I'm from aren't necessarily like that. And by me being here and having maybe, some neighbors up the street that are going through some things, they see me, what I drive or what I have or how I influence the community, where I work. And they now want to be risen up. My neighbor in my balcony, she's Section 8 or whatever you call it, because investors
Housing
sell
choice voucher. Mm.
housing choice voucher. Thank you. Because investors rent out their places to the government, right?
Mhm.
So because my balcony is beautiful and I have florals and things like that, now she's doing that. So my point is, by you going back to the hood in quotes, you can help transform a hood.
Hmm.
You know, there are things that I'm doing in my community. I just got $3 million for the library in my community through my advocacy.
Ashley, that's that's very admirable. But in the same respect, I got a call, and I'm not going to say who it's from. Someone on his podcast had a luxury vehicle, and some young niggas came up to his window and started trying to do the nay nay to try to distract him to jack his car in Chicago.
That happens. We know that. So people have broken into my car. I get it.
But
She
We
has a
all
luxury
get
vehicle
it.
too, by the way.
whoa. But saying I get it, like, okay, they tried to take from me. I get it, but we still gotta come on.
Yes, because
Right,
it's
'cause we
bigger
don't
than
run, man. We
us.
don't run
Okay,
from first sign of
I
trouble.
got a follow up question for you. Actually, with that being said, would you say there's more of a cultural effort in DC towards that, more towards unification and that sort of thing? The reason why I asked, it seems like that my sister has a best friend that lives in DC, and so she always tells she goes to visit her quite often. So when she does that, she tells me about like the difference between there and the Detroit area and that sort of thing. So it just seems to be some differences there. So that's why I'm asking.
Well, there may be some differences, and I haven't spent a lot of time in Detroit. But the point is, DC has changed to become a very prosperous city, right? We have billions
Mm-hmm.
in surplus. We're doing really
Right.
well.
Mm-hmm.
We have, I guess there's some sense of loyalty to those impoverished neighborhoods to say, okay, we got to make sure you guys are a part of this transformation, right? And
Right.
that's what I feel like everybody should be, regardless of where you're from, regardless of where you are. You should be making things better wherever you are. But
Mhm.
leaving the hood, leaving those impoverished areas do more harm than good. Seriously. And I just want people to like really think about that.
Another thing too, I just want to jump into. I think DC is a relatively small area, and you could
It's
say
not smaller than Detroit.
it is smaller than Detroit, but
Uh,
No, it's
I,
not.
but
uh,
the point I'm making is overpopulated. So I think that the people in DC realize the value of that land. So for example, like those bad neighborhoods, they realize there's value in it, regardless of how the house looks or the population. There's value in that vicinity to that area. I think
Valid.
so.
That's a
In
valid
Detroit,
point.
right, it's a valid point. So in Detroit, I think that a lot of times we don't value the vicinity, a lot of those impoverished neighborhoods to where they are, because you can go down Mac, you can go down Kercheval, you can go down to a lot of these historic streets, and be like, oh, it's toe up. It's like, man, it's really toe up. But those homes, those streets, that land is so close to downtown. Those areas are going to be worth so much more money in 20 years.
They are.
In 30 years. So the point is, if you could get in now and you can start doing a little bit, it's going to help that community out, as opposed to you waiting till it gets gentrified or some other company or some other ethnicity buys it all up. Now you want to come back, and now you're at a disadvantage.
Exactly. That's my
Okay,
point. So
right,
if everybody
right.
go back, we're good.
But the point of the conversation at that point was looking at leadership in the environment. We're talking about how you should stay in the hood or how you should stay in the environment that you came from. We have to be realistic about what's best for the community. One, two, what's best for our family. And if you're gonna tell me that I can move to a house, well, let's say I could pay about 25,000, get a house on the east side, nice, 2 bedroom, 1.5 bath. That may not be what I want to have as a part of my legacy. So I shouldn't have.
See, it's back to I though. It's always back to I. What I want in my legacy. What my legacy is. It's about the culture. How are we going to move the culture forward in DC?
For the
How
first
are we
time,
not going to
for the
leave these
first time,
people out?
I guess I have to agree with Levi, and I hate, I hate that I have to do this, but I actually agree with Levi in that example. You're trying to tell somebody that they shouldn't do what they can do as far as the best for their family. And if Levi, speak up, nigga. Like if
What? Go ahead. You cooking? I ain't trying to cut
all
you
right,
off. I'll
then I'm
talk to
cooking. All
you.
right, so I'm saying if that's
But
my
no,
thing,
he's
if
You ain't
that's
cooking
my
nothing,
environment,
nigga.
so
right.
You was
so
just
so
smoking.
so
He's
with me
not
being
done
said,
cooking.
so with me using that example, if I have two kids and I got my wife and I have to choose somewhere to live, I may not choose to live in the environment that I tried to escape because of the vices. Like I don't gain anything from that. But in
But see, it goes back to your point that you made with Levi that you strongly whatever him on. You said the same. You faulted him for the same things you saying now. Which one is
and
it?
Right.
Facts.
I was wrong.
With that being
Facts.
said,
I
I
was
want to
wrong.
say this. My dad's been around the world, so halfway around the world. He lived in Germany for a while. He
Right.
went to visit DC the last time my sister went down there. That was maybe 2 months ago or so. So they went on a trip down there to take care of something. Anyways, when he came back, he sat and told me that he never seen such a unification of black culture and so many successful blacks in a concentrated area.
Yeah, we
That's why
lead
I
in the
think,
nation for that. Yeah.
huh? And
That
he's
we lead in the nation for that for sure.
right. So that's, now if we take that cultural mindset and replicate it throughout different cities throughout the nation, then I think we can move forward. But as it stands now, that same mentality, I'm sure you're not the only person in DC with that same mentality, with your mentality. There's other successful blacks right there. It's a lot easier to do that together. So, like, for example, if
That's a
us
cop out.
5 on the podcast or us 4 that's from the Detroit area said, let's link up and we're going to buy 4 houses. They're going to be 50,000 a piece or whatever on the same block. And then we're going to build up, slowly but surely. People going to see that we actually take care of our grass, blah, 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 blah. And it's going to get better from there. That's different. But if you're moving into an area and it's just you and it's all of these negative influences, and you don't have anything positive around you or any sort of support mechanisms or systems or anything like that, then you can't beat the system by yourself. You need
And
help.
I actually agree
I
with
agree.
you, Levi, and I support what you're saying. But who does it start with? Are we going to keep going and saying that this whole is nobody? Who's going to lead and say, you know what? I'm going to buy that block. I'm going to get my
It
friends.
should be J.Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
It
You know
should
what I
be
mean?
J.Rhodes. He should start.
I'm starting, and also for the record, DC is from the landmass is 61.05 square miles. Detroit by land is 138.75 square
This nigga
miles.
looked up Google.
Right.
I did.
But
I
we
did.
This nigga looked up Google.
And
I hear you.
And I said density, more density. The population of Detroit estimated in 2016 was 672,795, and the estimate of DC population was 681,170. So, like I said, it's a smaller area than Detroit, but more densely populated. I was correct. Go ahead.
Right. But don't get Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong. But there's a whole
I'm shaking my
DMV
head.
area. There's a whole DMV area right there. So you're comparing city to city.
I said DC. I didn't say DMV area. Just make it clear.
You said DC, but the whole point is the
This guy.
culture. And don't try
culture-
to shame our culture.
I'm not
Rose.
shaming culture. I'm trying to clarify a fact that I said. Y'all tried to disprove me. Y'all tried to discredit me. Thank you.
No. I wasn't trying to disprove you personally, bro. What I was trying to say is there's a culture, like Ashley was saying, there's a cultural movement
There's
there
a
that's
cultural movement
going
in
on.
Detroit too, bro. I think just
But it's so segregated between Detroit, and then once you cross over to Warren, for example, it's like almost the opposite. It's conservative.
you can't worry about
almost
things you
to the
can't
point-
change. Just worry about what you can change.
Wait a minute, but then you saying, oh, now we can't worry about what we can change. So you believe that we can
Get
change one
'em.
thing, but we can't change the other.
Get him.
I believe that what Ashley said, you can create that change. If you found a piece of investment property, it ain't like I said, if you found a block in Detroit area, you say I'm gonna buy this block. Hey J.Rhodes, hey Lip, y'all wanna invest in me with me? I got a plan. If we say yes, we say no, okay, cool. But you can still go about what you want to do, or you can find you a place. You say, you know what, damn, Remax bought this house right here. This one not bad, but the one across the street not that bad either. Come on, T, let's buy that house. Well, Lip, I don't want to stay right here. Come on, baby, we're gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Just buy it and we rent it out. You know, it could be the start of a change.
That's right. I agree with that.
So with that being said, it's your boy J Lip. I want to thank my entire panel for joining us tonight. This conversation went off the rails. Damn, this a lot of good points. Ashley, I'm going to give you the trophy tonight. Ashley, you really represented DC to the fullest, and I thank you for joining us. Thank you, Ashley, representing DC.
You ain't never give me no trophy.
Always. You don't deserve a trophy.
After I give everything you said, except for them lesbos.
All right. Wow. All right. And then
For the record, nobody is endorsing lesbianism. I'm just saying,
Ashley,
all for all.
Ashley, you ain't got to. He's trying to bait you to. Come on. So, B. Lou, ATL.
Yeah, man, ATL. I said that.
J.Rhodes, you my bro. Chicago,
Baby, Southside.
and Levi. What you represent?
Representing HP.
All
No,
right.
you represent Troy.
All right. So anyway, this is Thinking Out Loud. You know who I am. You know what this is. Your boy J Lip Thinking Out Loud, man. And we might have a part 2, but we probably do need a part 2 because there was some shit. And we out.
This episode of Thinking Out Loud was executive produced by J Lip. Music provided by Daisy Smith. Artwork and logo provided by Rob D. And sponsored by you, the people. We thank you for listening.